always have those feelings though when you're on camera, like in Talladega Nights, you're like you don't know what to do with your hands, you know? You're just, like sitting here like, what? Just keep bringing them. Having a really good time right now.
You've got many projects going on. You know, some of them we'll touch on now. Doing the pop-ups.
Yeah, those have been fun.
You know, that's things like going from working, you know, as like I said, you'd be pumping out 40, 50 hours in the kitchen, work with someone else when it was all on your shoulders, rocking it like that. Yeah. You know, how did the dynamic change?
A lot more stress. You feel it. It's weird. You never think about it in a restaurant setting. You know, you watch your bosses gain and lose weight and talk about like how, when I opened up this restaurant and I had to, you know, slave away 80 hours of building it and planning it and menu this and all that shit. And you see them and they literally have lost 50 pounds. They're like skeletons. Yeah. And then 6 months into the restaurant open, they're all fat and gross because they've just been eating garbage food at the end of the night and they haven't had the opportunity to like be good to themselves at all, so they're exhausted eating terrible food, and you see that fluctuation and you never feel it as someone who works with them because you're just showing up and working line. You feel the stress of a busy night, but you're not like, it's not my dollar. Fuck if Joe and Mo at the front don't show up for their reservation of 20 people. I can give two shits. I'm just making the food. They don't show up, better for me. I don't gotta make 20 people's foods. I'm good, you know. But at the end of the day, you feel that when like you expect 100 people to show up on the Friday of your event and 40 people show up and you're like, fuck, I have all this food left over, what am I gonna do? You know, which luckily didn't really happen as much as it could have. Like we got lucky for most of our pop-ups. We didn't really lose any money, which is good. But, you know, we could have had better turnouts for all of them. But again, it's like, where are you gonna do them? People, pandemic, people don't want to go out. Like, how do you make people comfortable? Yeah. You know, and even the people that we did make comfortable, almost everyone that was like of like the like a step above, like in the sense that like showed up in their own car and like, you know, had like their money and they probably owned a house and shit. They were all like, man, you gotta do this somewhere else. Like this place is fucking, there's other things wrong with City Pool, but like for the food, like it's hard to take something that you're doing seriously when you're in a pool hall and eating on the street. Any place at this point. The only way I've done anything in this, and I've learned this about myself, I never would have learned this about myself before, but the only way I've done any of the stuff that I've done pop-up wise or with my other ventures or whatever I've done is like I've taken an idea and then forced it out there with either social media, like put it on myself, like put a date out, but like this is the date and now I have to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was the same with like the it was like, okay, I'm just gonna whatever. That's fine. Look at it. It was the same idea. It was the same with that project. It was like, you know, I started with $40 of product. Yeah. And I put it all together, put it out, got a return of $500. Yeah. Did it all over again a few times, and then you know, it worked from nothing but an idea, which is something that like I forced on myself because I spent money, or I made a poster and I put it online for people to see, or I took a picture and said, this is what's coming up, you know, follow this brand. Yeah. And it gave yourself a deadline. Made me do it. And every time I've had to do it, like with the newest one, with the honey, it was like the same idea. It was just like, I have to do it. I made a label, put it on Instagram, and I was like, fuck. Now I have to make money. I didn't even have honey. I had no honey in the house. I had no, you know. Oh, I love it. I didn't even have a recipe ready. I just knew that I could do it with ease based on what I read. And I was like, I'm just gonna fucking do it. There we go. And I feel like that's just how now I know myself. Yeah. Like I'm gonna start doing other projects that I've talked about with Olivia and other people. And I'm just gonna have to fucking make a poster and put it out online, or make an image and get people to see it. Hold yourself accountable right away. And then I'm fucked. And then someone's gonna be like, "I'll take 10," and I'm like, now I gotta make 10. Yes. And then I get sucked into it, and then I have fun and I learn how to do it, or you know, whatever. And if I fuck it up, then there we go. You know, the newest one started because a customer asked me for something that I didn't have. Yeah. And I was like, I can probably do something similar, or something that you can use in replace of. Yeah. And I said, give me 2 weeks, and I got a label, and I got a jar, and I got a product, and I love it. Well, that whole idea, like you said, where it's what's the term that I'm slipping my mind right now. It has nothing to do with marijuana I smoked. That some sort of term where it's basically like an idea or a dream is only that
until you put like a timeline on it, until you give it a deadline. Then it becomes a project. Then it becomes this and da da da. I'm obviously butchering that, but I know what you mean. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. So it's like even like with what I'm doing with this right here, the fact that like initially it's been an idea for however many months, but finally I was like, okay, if I just send out these messages and start asking people that like people who I'm close with and I can cancel on is one thing. I don't want to do that. Yeah. But when I started asking people, I was like, I don't want to be, I'm kind of really getting into this, and I booked so many in a row. It was kind of like, okay, now it has to happen. Now it has to happen. It's rolling. Yeah. So like now I'm at that point where I need to edit it, but as soon as I put one online, that's the actual thing. Like this for me, it's going, but it hasn't actually become.
But that's the next step.
It's
right?
almost
which is
there.
Fun, which is fun, which every project has, right? Like you can make the project real by starting it, but it's never going to be like real until it's out there for people to see, right? Like and that's the same with any project, and that's the same with this. So you can have it all ready, and it's cool to see the ball rolling. Yeah. But then, like as you said, like you'll start a project, you'll start it, and then you're like, oh, I'm doing it, and then like, oh, but then I have to put it online because that's the new deadline. That's the next.
You got it.
And
you got it.
So you set it for yourself, and you'll do it. You set it up, knock them down, right? And you're not the type of person that once you're a procrastinator, but you're not the type of person that won't do it.
Yeah. I'll get it done. I'll get these up. I think like with the timeline of this, it'll be bleep. I have no idea, but I'll get it rolling soon.
But I mean, with every project that I think I've ever maybe a few like silly ideas in high school that like didn't. I mean, if we had the opportunity, I'm sure it could have happened, but. Being in high school, and it just didn't. But there's even ideas that started in math class that came to fruition 10 years later. You know what I mean? Yeah. And things like that I've witnessed, and even ideas that got finished by somebody else. Yeah. You know what I mean? For some reason, there's still that thing that's about you that you. Oh, thank you. You'll always get the project done. As I said, even if it's through G or like through another way, or like through your uncle, and then you taking over. There was always an idea that was planted. And you said to yourself, you're going to fucking do it. And whether it was waiting for your uncle to fuck up and leave
that was what it was. I thank you so much for saying all that.
Yeah. But I mean, you know what I'm saying.
You touched on, you brought back to high school. Let's just do a little throwback right there. Let's talk about high school. Overall, as an experience for you.
Starwipe high school.
That's where we met.
What would be sick is if we had UFA shirts and we could just Starwipe to us sitting here in two Ursula Franklin shirts. Oh, fuck. That would be hilarious. Even if they're too small, we just gotta do it.
I don't.
Oh, too bad.
I don't. But I'm not one to throw something like that out.
I know you're not.
I have a Palmerston shirt.
Yeah, it's different. I'm definitely that guy to throw away my high school shirt.
Yeah. I don't have it.
We could even just go get white t-shirts and just write it on there.
I don't have it. You don't have it. We both got expelled from there, so fuck it. Yeah, but we met in high school times. Instantly fell in love. And that's right. From there, both having our high school experience the way it was. When you look back at like school overall, was it fun? I ask everyone this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun in school. I mean, I didn't go to much of school, especially in high school. But I mean, social aspects of school were the best. Even like classroom wise, like I had a great rapport with like I'd say 85% of my teachers loved me, and the other 15%. I'd say the other 13% were, iffy about me. 2 or 3% hated me for sure.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for the most part, I was liked. And I had a good time. Like I could get away with things. I could do things. I could coerce teachers into letting me, do projects that had nothing to do with this, and I'd still get a grade. You know what I mean? And I always got away with it. I still passed. I still, I didn't graduate, but I still figured it out until I decided not to go to school anymore.
Fuck yeah. After that, though, when it came to finding your way into a career, you made your way into culinary.
Yeah.
Started cooking.
Yeah.
When did it start? What got that passion going?
I mean, realistically, like smoking weed with like friends.
Yeah.
And being allowed to like fuck up someone's fridge was always like the starting point of me enjoying to cook for other people.
Yeah.
Like, learning that like I liked to host or be the person to like feed.
Yeah.
And I guess I got that from my grandma. Like my grandmother and I were always like that in the kitchen. She always like let me help her cook, even if I was like butchering the peeling of the potatoes or whatever, and like throwing away 60% and giving her like the inside part of a potato that was like tiny.
Yeah.
She'd still let me do it and fuck up a whole bag of potatoes and just like chill with her.
Beautiful.
And I did it out of greed. I just wanted to be the first person to eat something. I wanted like the first potato out of the oven. I wanted to taste the rice to make sure it was good. You know what I mean? I wanted to taste the turkey. Is the turkey cooked? I'm like, oh, it's cooked. That was my, I'd sit closest to the kitchen. That was my jam. And so then eventually it just kind of, I guess it grew, Okay. And like the passion of like having different cultures of food around me all the time.
Yeah.
Is like the ability of having that around me gave me the passion of food. I think overall because I like all food. I don't think there's one type of food that I could say I don't enjoy. I mean, there's certain things about certain foods I don't enjoy.
Fair enough.
But I think there's always something in every food that I can find that I'll eat.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, we'll bring it back to that in a second, but you touched on, this influence and your first experiences starting off with family at home, with grandmother and such. Yeah. Talking about having that multicultural aspect at home as well.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to home too. How was that life growing up? What was it like? What were the foods? What were the inspirations? How did that all go down?
It was, different households.
Yeah.
2 different places.
Okay.
Different, parents.
Yeah.
Separation, obviously. And it was back and forth. One was very like wild and one was very like set and straight.
Okay.
So there's a balance in that sense.
Yeah.
But for food wise, there was like, hard Greek lady who overcooked everything. And it was tasty as shit still. Like it always tasted so good. But it was never like seasoned or, the meat was never juicy. It was always like, killed like completely dead, but still, with a bunch of tzatziki and all the good flavors. Yeah, everything was tasty. And then the Italian influence from my in-laws from like my grandma's side, my aunt and stuff. So there's always like big meals there. Like those meals were some of my like first memories of like eating like they did in like the gangster movies. You know what I mean? Like the bowls of pasta, the sauce on the side, the big baguettes everywhere. Yeah. Scallopini, there's sausages, there's bowls of shoulder meat, there's a big hunk of prosciutto that's been in the sauce for 2 days. Yeah. Just like everything that you could want. And like you're eating stuff, you're like, what is this? And they're like, I don't know, it's fucking delicious. Stuffed pasta shells with ricotta and sausage. Like the things that like make me salivate now. Yeah. Like I was eating then and just taking for granted, not really thinking anything of. But some nonna sat there and made all day. 2 separate kitchens, 2 ovens, fucking 7 pots just going off. And that's I think where it all comes from, right? Like when and then the Guyanese is the same. Like my grandmother would cook pepper pot on Christmas and the smell would fill the whole house.
Permeate through the household.
And you know what I mean? Like you could smell it for the whole day on Christmas. And I was never really there during the day, but as soon as you got there, that's what you smelled. You know what I mean? You smelled Heineken and rum and whiskey and curry. You know what I mean? Some pot on the stove bubbling away for the next day. And like it's a beautiful thing. Like there's so much culture and so many different aspects to how people cook and where it comes from. And places like Guyana, it's all peasant food. Like there's no there are kings and shit, but they all, they're all like gold hungry, hidden people. Like there's not like it's not, there's no real old school talk about that shit. All the people that have Guyana just eat like handmade roti and like chana and dal and like curries made by like a goat they killed and the fucking it's just hanging in the garage.
Okay, well, how has the food that you grew up with influenced you when it came to rocking your pop-ups and such?
Different. This new one was all Greek just for fun. Like we want, I had the dish from the first round, but the first round was like influence of like all the food from mine and Olivia's life, like things that we shared together, things that she ate with her family, things that I ate with my family, and we kind of like played it on that. And like that one was we hit curry, we hit our ratatouille that we love to make for ourselves. It was a dish that we always ate at home. We hit our faux tartare, which is something that we first ate together. Dishes like that which played up, and then the Greek fried chicken, and we changed it all up. You know what I mean? We never really stuck to the same one, and it was just a way for us to, or more so me. Olivia doesn't cook so much, but a way for me to express like a little bit of that because I cook it and I would never be able to, push it to a restaurant. Like I've tried to push things that interest me like that to a restaurant, and they won't ever really take those ideas seriously if they're not like on brand, which is fair because brand, if it's their brand, they gotta like make it.
If it's their vision, it's their vision, and that's why you do pop-ups because that way you get to do what your vision is right there.
Do, right? Exactly, and even if it's not something that's like on brand or a vision or whatever, it's just like a story. We called it like a story of our lives, like through food.
Yeah.
And it was fun, like
delicious.
And it was tasty, and we had a lot of fun doing that. But the Greek one was just a way to like take some of those classics that everyone knows and loves, and like put a spin on them and present them in a way that gives you like the same flavors and textures, but with like a twist, like the Greek fried chicken. It's virtually just like a Greek salad with souvlaki, but fried and then no real lettuce, just so crispy deliciousness. But it's so fucking good.
Oh yeah,
and it's like it's the same thing as any other food. They've all been like taken apart. People have taken and given you chicken parms that aren't on a sandwich or aren't even on pasta, and they've presented just like a piece of fried chicken on a plate with a bunch of sauce on it, and you eat that covered in cheese, and that's delicious.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's not traditional of Italy necessarily, but it's a play on it. Greek food's never really had that. You know what I mean? Every time you go to a Greek restaurant, it's just fucking souvlaki. You got gyro.
Yeah.
You have Greek fries.
Yeah.
That's probably that's the furthest they've gone, I think, is the Greek fries. It's like,
it's first an innovation there.
That was the one.
But I mean, it's also because it's just I love Greek food. Greek food is like right up there with my favorites. And growing up in East York and all the places, pretty much as you're saying, having the same thing everywhere, but all just done so good. At the same time, though, right there, it's true because when we went to your place, I didn't think about it until afterwards. But I was like, it's kind of like the first time I'd had any sort of little twist on it, aside from when the first time you had a watermelon and feta salad, a little bit Greek.
But that is like my mom grew up eating maybe not a salad, but that's like a snack. You get pieces of feta, you get pieces of watermelon. That's your snack.
That's delicious, and I'd had that maybe in catering once or twice. But like when it came to mixing the flavors of like say like a fried chicken, with it done that way, with like the little sandwich that we got with the potatoes that we got, which is like it was delicious and like you're saying, changing it up, giving it that vibrance, bringing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Doing that for the Greek food, are you considering doing that possibly for your other side as well, and with the Guyanese food as well?
My uncle's doing that a little bit. So I'll let him kind of stick to that.
All right, gotcha.
He's got his vibe going, but I mean, I've always it's been an interest, but with curry food, like especially Indian food, I feel like I might be wrong. Any food, if you ask me.
Okay.
Like if I walk into a Thai restaurant and I see a Sri Lankan guy in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Unless that guy was taught by a Thai chef, like I don't know how Thai the food's gonna be. It's Thai recipes.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? But it's not Thai food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you, not to say that it isn't, but it's the recipes that we're getting here. It's like here's a sauce in a bottle. You add this sauce in the pan. And you add a little bit of garlic and some vegetables, and then you throw that in noodles-wise and some chicken, and then you got yourself Thai, pad Thai. That's not fucking pad Thai.
I hear what you mean with it when it's coming to authentic food, and really getting that like old school flavor. I remember going to like Caniso Brothers or going to California Sandwiches down this area, and just like when you look into the kitchen and you just see like the old noise making the sauce, doing it up, and it's like okay, it's not racially cannot it's not about that cuisine. Obviously, it's more so just about. I mean, even when I say a younger generation, I don't care if you're so and so's great granddaughter. If you didn't grow up with them in the kitchen, if you're just doing it because you're coming in, exactly, a recipe that's whatever.
Not, But there's got to be some sort of like some sort of cultural essence to it still, because otherwise it just becomes bastardized and then you lose it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as I said, I may be the only person who feels like this, but I feel like a lot of people do. So I feel like having like a white dude covered in tattoos, like making you your chana, people are going to be like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, where's Pam? Or like, fucking whoever in the kitchen. And you talk to some guy who, I can trust, because they don't trust some guy like me.
Okay. Well, looking at influences in the industry, we've been talking about a lot of family, but you've been in the industry and you've been in a lot of places. When you think about those places that you've been to, are there any specific chefs that you worked with? You don't have to name names, but like anybody who you remember that really kind of gave you that extra little push, or was it more so just the experience of working with different cuisines and different kitchens? That's what built you into who you are today.
I mean, I think what gave me my push in the industry for the most part is working with the multitude of people I have had the opportunity to work with. Not necessarily one, because I've had relationships, and good ones and bad ones, with a lot of chefs. But to be honest, like I think the bad relationships I've had with chefs have been the things to push me and excel me in the directions that I want to go in my personal life in the industry. Because it tells me who I don't want to be and what I don't want to be around, and I've learned and I've seen a lot of things I don't like, and like it's a constant reminder of like who as a chef you would want to be and who you wouldn't want to be type idea.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one. There's a lot of good guys out there though. You know, shout outs to like Rob. I'm not sorry. Take that one out. Rob Rossi and like Frank Venditti and like guys that I worked with in the past that are like, in my opinion, good people, and they have good hearts, and they cook hard, and they like what they do, and they have a passion for like the industry, and they want to see it grow. But there's a lot of people out there that I don't
I got you. We that's this thing. Working in back of house, you got some characters who can be fucking pricks. And
well, I mean, you get
raised as pricks and been told to be that way.
You get the short end of the stick in the industry as a kitchen person. I feel like in general, and not to say that it doesn't happen to people in the front of house. Yeah. But I've seen busters get fucking shit on. But I mean, most of the times, like if you're a front house and you're a server or a bartender, like you're making good dosh, and people are happy with their lives, and they walk out of there every night with cash full of pockets full of cash, and they can do whatever the hell they want in their lives, and they're pretty stoked. Like they have lives. They can go to the gym the next day, and they can go for brunch, and they can hang out with their homies, and then they show up to work at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and they work a 5-6 hour shift, and they walk back out again with $300-400. And then there's Timmy and Tommy in the kitchen who fucking worked 16 hours, and they're still there scrubbing down the fucking kitchen.
You got it.
And then they got the dishwasher whopping the whole fucking business. And it's like these guys have been stuck in it for the whole day, and they've only made $125 to $200, and even that $200 is not enough. No. Even if you get paid fucking $20 an hour,
it's your whole day. It's your whole life.
It's everything. It eats you up. And I've been like down those roads. I've had like dark times in the industry where like all I want to do is drink at night and party and not sleep because I have to be back at work at 7 because I've made my schedule so that I can have time with my family at the same time. Yeah. So on my days on that I have my kid, I'm good. I don't drink, I hang out, we have a good time. But on my days off, I still work 7 to 7, so I still got to be good. But I can't be good. I want to fucking party all night with all my friends who are partying. But they don't get off until midnight, so I got to drink until midnight, and then I'm not drinking until 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and then I got to be back at 7.
Yeah.
And that's and then
grind.
And that sucks. It eats you up, and then you lose a job, and then you figure out what you got to do in your life. You start cutting hair or whatever.
You pivot, all right?
You figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at their time in the industry, for it being what it was and all the experiences you had, are there any specific moments that really stick out as like, that was fucked, but something in a fun way?
I've worked some events that were pretty hairy. Like I've worked some of the original like stop night markets that were like really like fucked. Okay. And like fun, like products that like guys that I worked with just wanted to make things that they didn't quite test on their grills or whatever. So it's just like smoke clouds covering the whole place because of us. And like, getting in shit for shit like that or. I've had nights of service where like I wanted to cry and like never wanted to work again, which have been nights where like eat you up and shit. But I've had good nights where you walk out wanting to do fucking backflips and like you feel like a fucking champ, Yeah, those Friday nights or those Saturday nights where you don't like overcook a steak and everything's like gone crisp and
you go into the walk-in, someone's giving you the goat.
There you go. The goat's a good time. That's a good one.
Anybody's been there. What was it from again? Was it from Waiting?
Yeah.
It's from Waiting. Anyone was Waiting?
I mean, it's a terrible disgusting.
Do you think there's anything that you shouldn't joke about? Do you believe that it's like one of those things
honestly, I don't. If one thing's off the board, then I think that we've lost the fucking will to laugh.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna say, hey man, you can't make fun of that because it's still insensitive.
Yeah.
Then I can't make fun of that then. Because that's insensitive to somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
Where does the line go?
Then we're just making fun of like ants and dogs.
I know.
And they have feelings too. And then somebody's gonna tell me I can't make fun of that dog. You don't want to make fun of my dog? Oh man, if I wasn't allowed to make fun of my dog, then I'd be fucked.
Self-care. Let's touch on that as we're in this neighborhood of things. When it comes to taking care of yourself recently, obviously, you're in better mind space now than back in the day when we were, party fucking idiots and such. Now it's like, hey, when it comes to your daily life and such, do you have a bit of a routine going on? Are there certain things that are anchoring you in certain ways to to want to start your day right?
I wake up with the sun.
All right.
So I just like recently in the last 5 years or so, I've been trying to like figure out my native culture.
Okay.
Like my Aboriginal or whatever you want to call it, First Nation. I don't know.
Absolutely.
There's too many terms. I am not offended by any of them, so I have no. I'm not really sure as to what. I know that, as I said, I kind of a little bit where I'm from and what my tribe might be and stuff. And I know the teachings that are general, at least. And I, wake up every morning and I smudge. So I have my shell and I have my sage and tobacco goes in and my sage goes in and I sit there and smoke and smudge myself and cleanse my apartment. If Atreus there, then I smudge him. If Lydia's sleeping, I smudge her. Smudge Milo. Smudge every room. Yeah. Put the bowl outside, do my gym, and then I start my day. I want to wake up. Most days I wake up like an hour earlier. I'm like, man, I should be working out right now. But I don't do that.
No, you can't stress yourself out. If you're starting in a positive way.
I don't know. I want to work out. Yeah. But at the same time, like, it's hard to have the motivation to do everything on your own. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like, I have to wake up and, like, it's on me for this project of my sales and shit. Like, it's that is 100% on me. So if I want to make them, I have to make them.
It's on you.
And if I don't make them, I don't make sales. Yeah. And shit like that. And if it's the pop up or whatever, it's all on me, and it's kind of mentally exhausting at the end of the day. Like I've never been that person to say that shit, but like I can't rely on my job to pay me a fucking paycheck. Yeah. Right now. Yeah. So I can't just go to work and just like. So, I don't even do a lot when I go to work most days. Like, I'm the fucking guy who gets the job done. Yeah. And I'll do the stuff that needs to be done, and I'll get it all done properly. But I'm also the guy I'm not going to allow I'm the first person to figure it away for me not to do 90% of the work. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't have to fucking do it, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And I don't want to be that guy all the time, but I got shit to do all the time. I have fucking life. I want to make sure that I can get out of there at a certain time. I'm trying to make sure I'm good in life, too. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one thing about the industry that's stressful is that there's that jive on top of you, is that whole like deadline at work every fucking day. Yeah. That you have to do all this shit and get them all done and get them all done properly. Yeah. You know? And not that you don't get your job done properly, but if you have X amount of work to do every day of the week and you start falling behind, you're fucked and you feel under pressure and you feel, you know what I mean? And your quality of life goes down every which way if you're working 12 hours a day anyway, right? So it grinds you down. You start feeling like a fucking sack of shit. Yeah. And so it's like, you got to find balance in it. So it's right now not working out has been my finding balance. Doing it. Yeah. So he gives my head acid and I take it. And previously in that night, I watched Spider-Man. So I had this like whole thing in my head, like, oh, fucking Spider-Man. Amazing. Having a blast. And this kid, Alex Ralph, puts up a swing. He gets a piece of wood. I don't know, fucking they're crafty little kids. Gets a swing and a drill and drills 4 holes in the swing and a piece of yellow rope and threads it through the bottom of the swing and ties 2 knots and ties it around a tree. Yeah. And so me watching this whole thing go down, starting to tweak on acid, I'm like, this is fucking rad. How to make a swing. Like it's like one of those fucking shows on fucking Discovery Channel, how to, whatever they call it, how it works, whatever it is. Yeah. How it's made. So I was like, I'm all about this. So I'm like, I'm trying this swing first. So I get in the swing and I'm just starting to like hit. Like I'm just starting to feel it, seeing some shit, touching some shit, getting really into it. All right. And he gets me in the swing and he starts to twist me. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And because it's rope, I'm like good 10 feet. He's using my legs to like keep spinning. Yeah. I'm like wound up real high. And he doesn't just let me go, but he like flips my legs. Yeah. And I start spinning. Waka. And I'm just tweaking now. Okay. I can see everything. Yeah. I'm not like blind and just seeing worlds. I can see like this camera can see. Yeah. I can see it all. I'm like a fucking pigeon. I got all views of everyone's faces at the same time. Everyone's like cheering me on. I'm fucking spinning and I'm just having a blast. I get out of the swing. I start like stumbling around. I fall to the floor. I'm like really dizzy. But I'm like still tripping and I'm looking up in the canopy of trees and they're like breathing on me and I'm just having a blast. Yeah. And then the kid's dad is there. Alex Ralph, his dad's like watching all of these kids fuck themselves up on drugs, rather than give them a place to do it, rather than not give them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and so he comes on out with a bunch of ham slices.
Oh, right.
And like not even slices, they're like little chunks, little cubes of ham and like kielbasa on a plate. And I was like, I don't know what this is all about, but I'm gonna eat some. I'm gonna eat on acid, you know?
Yeah.
And so I ate a bunch, and it was kind of weird swallowing and all that. So I went inside, and I remember it so vividly, all this shit like in a row. But I went inside, and then there was this guy named Khalid who had dreadlocks.
Okay.
He was an Italian, like Ethiopian kid who moved here, and he spoke French and Italian and all
awesome.
These languages. Cool dude.
Yeah.
And he was listening to that Zeppelin song. What's it called? Fucking. Yeah. You know that one? And
I know the track, but I don't know the name. Yeah.
And he's fucking headbanging. And I walk in the room, and I'm just like watching this hair because his dreadlocks just fucking flop around,
awesome.
and I am just mesmerized. And you know, I walk around this cool lit apartment or this house. It's like a bungalow in the beaches, and it was really nice, like vibe. And, you know, everyone's having a good time, and then we have to leave, and we all start going up north to the subway station at like 1 a.m, and we see all these like people outside of Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
And we walk there. There's a dude on the floor with a fucking knife in his head, and I don't know if I'm tripping balls or not at this point anymore. So everyone's like, yo, let's get the fuck out of here and get on this bus. So we all run to the bus stop, get on the bus. And most people start getting off because they all live in the beaches. And me and this girl take it out to the subway station. She goes, I'm going east, you're going west.
Yeah.
Like, you know, get on there. And we talk and shit. We exchange numbers. She goes one way, I go the other. I get on the subway, you know, not really sure if what I'm seeing was real. So I just kind of like throw it under the rug. I'm like, it wasn't real. We didn't see that. I'm going to forget about it. You know? No, nothing. So we... You know, I'm on the subway, and now I'm, you know, by myself, and I start to notice. Sorry, go on. Start to notice all these things on the subway. You know, the floor is like what looks like marbling because it's subway old floors. Remember those? Like the floor was kind of like it looked like this a little bit.
Yeah.
But every time the train went back, like when you started, because I was coming from fucking like far east, like main station or something.
Okay, yeah.
So every time the train, like, you know, started to drive and you got pushed back by the force, all the color on the floor would push back to the back of the train. So I was sitting at the back of the train with the door behind me, and I watched the floor come from the fucking one end of the train, whooshing back. And I kept like looking on the floor and like trying not to like touch it and like keep my feet up. So I busted out my fucking book bag as I was, you know, 14 or whatever. Yeah. And started writing notes about what I was seeing.
Okay.
And next thing you know, I'm at Kipling Station, and I'm supposed to go off at Dufferin, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I have to get back, you know, the other way. So I wait, and the guy's like, this is the last train going eastbound. I'm like, oh fuck. So I'm like, I gotta get off, you know. So I'm staring at the floor, like tripping balls, like trying to catch my stop. I miss it again. I think I get off at Ossington at this time, but I finally get off and I get home. And as soon as I get home, I turn on the TV, whatever, check CB24 for the time. Yeah. Don't I see that some fucking guy gets stabbed in the head at Queen and Main?
Oh no!
Outside Tim Hortons, and I was like, oh my god, that shit was real, motherfucker! I was like, and then that like sent me for a whirl all night, like you were saying earlier about like life being precious.
Yes.
And now I'm like high on acid for the first time, tripping out about me fucking living my life in this like existential bubble of like reality. Like I don't even know what I'm doing, what I believe in anymore. This guy's dead in front of me type shit. And so I started freaking out. So I have this VHS tape of, you may have actually given it to me, or maybe I stole it from Peter Rothman.
Go on.
But it was a VHS tape of a Chad Muska in France video.
Okay.
No,
it rings a bell.
Osiris? What?
Oh no, Circa.
Circa.
Yeah.
So
Circa or Shorties.
Maybe it was a Shorties video. Actually. Yeah. I think it might have been a Shorties video. So he goes to France and like skates all these like really sick like underground skate parks and does all this cool shit. Yeah. But I watched that movie like 17 times, man. It was like a 35-minute video. Yeah. And I got home at like 2 a.m. and I fucking stayed up till the sun came up watching that video on replay. Just kept rewinding it and fucking watching the shit real hard. And just like being like in it and like comparing it to like life. And like I cried watching it. I don't even know. I'm watching guys skateboard. And like there's like such a like like weird vibe to the whole night that like every time I watched it, I got like a different emotion out of it, and I just kept watching it, and then eventually I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I went to the bathroom and came back to my room. My room smelled like fucking assholes. I guess I sweat out whatever fucking chemicals.
There we go.
And I literally smelled like a fucking, like a sack of shit. Like I had shit in my pants. My room smelled like fucking human poo.
Did you shit your pants?
No. It was just like sweat. Like I looked at the bed. My bed was soaked.
Yeah.
I could feel it on my head.
Chemicals.
I just wanted to hide myself with my mom. Do you have a lighter?
I do. Well, you know what? That was a fucking great story about one hell of a wild trip.
It was heavy shit. Awesome. And then you know it was just done. But then I've had terrible fucking trips on both sides of the board.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that one right there encompassed a whole roller coaster of emotions.
Oh yeah. But I mean, at the end of it, it was a good trip.
Yeah.
But I've had harder, more scary moments on just weed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think when it comes to weed, especially in younger years or as things became more potent, there were times where you didn't realize exactly how intense the douche could get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had a panic attack at the stomach one time. I almost fucking died.
Yeah.
I thought these guys were going to kill me.
Oh no.
I was like literally going to shit my pants. Like literally I was cold. Like my body.
Oh no.
It was like I was shook. You know when you get that feeling over you where you get the chills?
Yeah.
And like your body is like cold and you're starting to sweat and you're freaking out. I was fucking sure these guys were going to stab me. I think I had a lot of weed on me.
Yeah.
And I was just overthinking stuff.
Just tripping balls.
But I was shook.
Well, you know, tripping balls are not when it comes to the subject of death and the idea of what goes down when you're not around. What does that spark to mind as we take tokes?
I don't know, man. It's a hard one to think about. Like, I don't ever really think about like what happens after this as much because I feel like that's a waste of time.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't make you, perhaps you should be spending time appreciating what's happening now.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, there's got to be something. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be something. I mean, whether it's like a reliving, like I think we might have like,
perhaps?
yeah, because I look at my kids sometimes and I'm like, this kid's too fucking old to be young.
Old soul. Yeah,
know?
Gotcha.
And like he's lived some shit, so I feel like we've all kind of, depending on who we are, you know, I've met some people I'm like, oh, this is your first time.
Yeah, I know what you're saying with that feeling, though. I know what you're saying with that feeling. When you were growing up, were you raised with, you mentioned recently touching into, your native side and get a little spiritual with that. Were you raised with any religious background on either side? Did that ever have an effect on you? What were your opinions of, organized religion and such?
The native stuff never really came to play until later on. It was like my wanting to kind of figure it out because I was never forced into anything, but I was taught like my grandmother's kind of Christian kind of vibe or Catholic, I don't even know which one. And then on my dad's side, my stepdad's side, they had like the Hindi and the Catholic side as well.
Okay.
And so they had like they did both. Like there was I went to mosque and like I they prayed differently and they did their vibe and they had a different culture to it. But it was beautiful in itself. Never been my vibe to go to a church. It was never really like my idea of like the higher power has never really been like some guy who created shit. Like I feel like if anything, it is like much more like the native belief system in that sense, where it's like Mother Earth and Grandfather, I think it's Mother Earth and Grandfather Sky or something like that.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's much more about like a creation story of like humanity in a whole, and we're all equal and we all have like a part in this, rather than
I like that,
one being better than the other. Or, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because I feel like all religion starts fucking beef between each other. And
a lot of them do, and I kind of feel that way. Where if you're not hurting anybody, then whatever you believe in, it makes you happy, good to go. But if you start pushing your beliefs on someone else,
that's fucked up. Yeah, that's why I don't like certain crowds of people, because I feel like a lot of them have bad raps, and it's probably shitty on me to say that, but like I can't stand most vegans. Sorry to say, vegans. You guys all.
Now I was raised as a vegan for many years of my youth, but my mother, as you know, if she loves you and cares about you, she may, give you some tips and tricks here and there, but she's never one to push.
No, exactly. And that's right?
Great. But I mean, but your average vegan though.
I've had people like comment on my post of like a pig roast, and me and my friends having a good time, and
fuck right off.
You tell me that I can't celebrate Canada the way I want to, and I want to roast a pig. I didn't fucking tell you to come to my fucking pig roast. Or, I didn't shit on your vegan barbecue. Like fuck you.
That smell of grass, fresh cut grass in the morning, is the smell of suffering. What it is that to put out a whatever of warning to its fellow, grass. I'm smoking it and completely butchering this.
Yeah.
But one of the defense mechanisms is it releases that beautiful smell or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
They say that that I don't know what they say. I got no articles that come to mind, but I've heard that
this is it.
The vegetables scream.
They do.
Or whatnot when you put them on the ground.
Okay. And vegans are okay with fucking up vegetables' lives. Like plants can feel too. If you're allowed to do that.
But it's like this. If you're a vegan and you're still buying all your produce from the fucking metro, fuck you. You're still part of the whole system that's fucked up the world, right?
Yeah.
Same as a dude who, recently for me, I want to get into hunting. And talking about that with my mother, she's like, oh, Madonna. But for me, it's more so...
Hunting's a very different thing. If you're hunting and, using everything and,
Yes, I'm all about fucking, the nose to tail shebang, right? And also on top of that, my thing is...
make some gelatin, man.
I'm cooking 9 chickens.
There you go. Make some stock, whatever it is.
Right?
Yeah.
But the thing is exactly that. 9 chickens right there, right? I eat, depending on the regimen that I'm at, I'll be doing almost half a chicken a day. And that's, however many lives a week. And I thought if I went for a fucking... Well, I'm not eating chicken every single day.
The critter count.
Listen, so my whole amount of chickens I'm eating all the time got me thinking, how could I eat less lives? So at first I was like, turkeys. First of all, they're rude birds. Pricks. On top of that... Oh, no, that's not fair. I've seen a little beautiful turkey video online. Sorry, fuck. Anyways, the idea of taking a larger species' life in a point of its life where it's just before they go down a road of suffering, whether it be through starvation or being hunted by another pack, I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in the idea of doing my work to earn that meat.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And also,
I believe if you can't look at that animal that you're eating in the face and kill it, and then butcher it, and then cook it, and then eat it, and be okay with it. If you can't do that, then you shouldn't be eating it.
I got you, brother.
You know what I mean? I've killed animals and eaten them.
Yeah.
And it fucking, don't get me wrong, the first couple times I've done it, it was weird as fuck. Yeah. And watching certain animals bleed out in your hands or whatever the case is strange. But when you reap the rewards of it and you see the bountiful, we made shit with the stuff we did, with the pigs we did or the chickens or whatever. There was things that we got. We fed 20 people one night with a bunch of birds.
You're going to feed. You're a provider.
It was a thing that we did. I was at a Canada Day barbecue a couple years back, and my buddy had a bunch of quail, and we slaughtered about 24 quail. I killed 3 or 4 myself, and let them bleed out in your hands, and we plucked them, and we marinated them, and we fucking barbecued them up, and they were delicious, and everyone ate them, and we all had a good time. And people who didn't want to be a part of it didn't have to be a part of it. The people who wanted to be a part of it, they were, and we all ate it, and we all had a good time.
There we go.
But if you can't do that, I don't think that. I don't think if there was a chicken head and a horse, or sorry, well not a horse, but a cow. And a pig, and all the heads of those animals were hanging above each section as opposed to putting a word. Yeah. If they were all there in the grocery store, nobody would eat meat, and the industry would collapse. And because people can't look at the head, people can't look at tongues. You ever go to the butcher shop when you were a kid? Even if you go now to a real butcher shop,
it's funny. Old school tongue is one of the more relatable pieces of an animal.
But you'll go and you'll see, and not just not to call out a sex, but generally you'll hear a girl or a kid, or someone be like, "Ew, a tongue, that's fucking gross." Yeah. And I know a lot of people, men or women, doesn't matter, who can't touch their meat. They just get weird about cooking it.
I know. They can't touch raw meat.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
I didn't know.
You can eat a chicken wing covered in sauce and shove that shit in your mouth and have it in your mouth.
Yeah.
But you can't touch it when it's raw.
Dude, it's like that. It's exactly what you said. I feel as though if you can't kill, people will argue though, if you're not going to be able to kill it, but you still show utmost gratitude and compassion and this and that for the fact that it was killed.
I feel
one thing, sure, but you're okay with it.
If you couldn't kill it, and you shouldn't be able to eat it, would change
the game,
the whole world. We would have no pollution, because I'd say a good 70% of people would be forced to find other means of protein because they're not legally allowed to eat that shit. They should be put through a test. Here's a fucking knife. Here's a pig. Kill it. and then butcher it.
Well, okay, so
and if you can't do that, without someone's guide, you obviously have guides with someone. But if you can't do that, then you're not allowed to.
I haven't done that. When I had the restaurant, you remember me saying that was the goal.
For sure.
In time was to do that.
You can go to certain places. You can go to a halal place. My cousin killed a lamb with his dad.
But like the idea is like I've never killed an animal, but the idea of having to do it with my own hands and not being able to do so. That idea makes me think that, there's a possibility when push comes to shove, I might all of a sudden go down that vegan road. I don't know for sure.
For sure.
I don't know for sure.
I mean, I get weird moments where like I'm eating certain things and like a vein or like a tendon will pop in my mouth and I'm like, puh, and I'm like, motherfucker. And then I don't want to eat it for a bit. Or like, I'll eat something like I'll buy a bunch of meat and I'll eat something that feels like the meat has seized because it died under a stressful condition. The breast or whatever.
Gotcha.
It becomes tough. And then I put that in my mouth, and I know that was not a happy animal, and I can't eat that shit. And I won't eat. And for a while, like me and Olivia both, we won't eat chicken. We won't eat certain things because we have a bad experience with it.
Well, knowing where you get the meat from
is a big one.
That's become much more popular. Like here in downtown Toronto or whatnot.
I mean, people should be. If you're gonna eat it, you should be willing to spend a little more money on it. But then that takes away a lot of the people who are poor.
Well, it's not to say that if you don't, you shouldn't, right? I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is what I touched on before.
If you can afford to buy good quality meat and like give, I don't know, back to those industries who are raising happy animals and good meat, then I say you should. I say you shouldn't be trying to save the buck on your food. I say you should be trying to support.
I know, and also the quality of meat is going to be better because the quality of life was better.
For sure. Right? I mean, everything that's involved in it, they're happier animals, and
Yeah.
But again, all these fucking companies say shit like that, and they're never really real. Like there's companies that are like free range chicken, and all they do is they allow the chickens to go out. But the chickens are too stupid to go.
I worked.
So they don't go out.
You see those videos.
Stay in the fucking
see the videos where it's like these are all free range and it's basically just a fence, like an 8x4 door, and the inside is a football field, and they have that as their outside time, right? Yeah. Now I haven't seen that firsthand, but I worked with someone who was a chicken farmer, and their family was chicken farmers. And what he said basically is like along the same lines as when you go to the factory and you'll see that can of beans go from being Therma or whatever the fuck it is, and all of a sudden the next labor just goes no name, and it's just the same can of beans just repackaged and sold for a different price. Whatever, right? That goes down with the eggs. With eggs, it's like free run this and that, It's all the same fucking eggs. When it comes to chicken, it's
depends on where you're getting it from.
Well, no, it's not to say like the place that's in a dark, dingy basement
like that
is called that.
Those bird break companies, for instance. They're all their eggs are the same quality, but you can see the difference with eggs. Like the color of the yolk is like a huge thing.
Well, that's exactly it though. It makes me wonder. Like I didn't get too much talk with him, and I'd like to have him on actually. And for this reason is that it was briefly touched on the idea of like of all those things being different. I mean, being the same, whatever, right? But I would think like because it's the different sizes, it's just like an organization process. But for me, what I'm trying to get at is that it's kind of like a marketing. Is more so what it is, right?
Well, I mean, everything's marketing, right? A pretty label. Something that says certified organic, something that says that it's this or that, it'll be marketed and priced at by a different price point. You know what I mean? Like you can make it look pretty and sell it for 3 times as much.
Well, that's the thing. If you're gonna take upon yourself to if you have the money, if you don't have the money, my thing is this: I do believe that if you're eating meats, if you're taking a life to eat, you should be grateful for it.
100%.
I'm not saying you do your whole prayer thing beforehand, and to those that do respect, sure, but more so it's just an idea of like if you're gonna be eating it, have an appreciation for it. The same as you do for anything. Have an appreciation for the water that's coming from your tap. You know what I mean?
I think that's the difference between a conscious person, or somebody who is
empathetic towards those around them or what.
Yeah, like most good people. Generally do walk around with that care or that empathy towards whatever.
But I mean that is
maybe
true.
Maybe not on
but
a,
you
on
don't
a,
notice
on a
it though.
Process. No, but
for
maybe,
food.
Yeah, but maybe not on like on an outer thought thing. But I think a lot of people do, like in themselves, like show thanks and appreciation. Like they feel it at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think most people go. I mean, maybe not most people. I don't think most good people and like is again conscious people who have pretty open minds and are a little more like forward thinking. I think they do think like that. I think they do appreciate what they're eating. I also think that most of us nowadays, especially with this pandemic, are a lot more appreciative of the little things. Like I've learned that I don't need a lot comparatively to before. Like not that a lot made me happier, but I don't need a lot to keep me going or to keep me in a good direction. You know what I mean? There's a lot less that I can, live off of than before.
Yeah.
Even on money wise, like I've learned that I don't need $5,000 a month to live. I can live off
make
of
do
$2,000
with way less than that.
I did it for a few months. I mean, I got some help from my landlords and stuff, but I mean, there was ways for me to figure it out, and I don't know.
Well, going full circle with this, back to gratitude. Let's pivot from gratitude of what you got like that to maybe one of the greatest things to be grateful for. Having a little man in your life.
Yeah.
Having a tree. All right. Let's touch on to the little Nino. You know what I mean? Like let's talk about how that experience, let's obviously the love and the admiration. This is a kid who I got to have a great sit down conversation with at a barbecue, and was just like realizing I'd rather sit and chill and talk with this kid and get his honest reaction and this mind that's like so interested and filled with all sorts of new information from this and that, and I would rather just sit there and talk with him than talk just about everybody else who was there. I had a great time with him. His own man. I want him on this podcast. Would be
he would own
amazing.
It.
Okay.
He would own it.
Now, when it comes to your life though, and how he has had an influence on you, how has that been from the learning process, the reverse? Rather than having a life to teach and life to mold, how has he molded and taught you?
I mean, he's pulled me out of some dark places. You know what I mean? He's given insight. He's given me ideas for tattoos. He's done it all. I mean, he's been like the biggest inspiration on like many levels. Like he's the reason why I want to be the person that I want to be. You know what I mean? Like I want to be better for him, not necessarily just for me, but for his benefit as well. He's like, he's too smart for his own good. He's got a lot of intuition.
Yeah.
He's not your average fucking kid.
No, not at all.
Every age I say it. He's not your average 5-year-old, 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Every time I say it, it's every year. He's not your average kid. He does things his own way, and he's gonna figure it out and do it his own way.
Yeah.
He's not gonna stop. Like he's a passionate little guy. He's got a lot of love and a lot of empathy and a lot of understanding, and puts his trust into people, and shows a lot of love to everybody. He's a good kid.
He absolutely is. At one moment from the conversation we were having at that barbecue, I remember talking about Milo, dog. Yeah. And we were talking about the dog, and I think he may have been gnarling at somebody or went on, and we looked over and looked at him. And he's talking about Milo for a second. He's like, he's a bit of a, I'm not sure what the word he used, right? Like, but he's a bit of a dick, right?
Yeah.
But he had like a hard life, and like sometimes when you have a hard life, you act like a bit of a dick. And I just looked over him and I was like, yes, my man. You never know what someone's been through.
Yeah.
You can't just judge someone the way they are.
He knows.
But he's also a pretty big dick.
Yeah.
So like, yes.
Sure. Doesn't change that he's a dick. But yeah, he probably had a hard time.
But
he understands that shit.
Yeah, I love
totally
that.
Gets it.
Well, you know what? In the future, I would absolutely love to.
He would love that.
Yeah, I think that would be so much fun. Let's start off with the spooky. Not being very religious or whatnot, perhaps not believing in the heaven and hell. Is there a part of you that does believe though in spirits and
100%? That's just real. But I mean,
it's all right.
I also believe like you have to be open to it. Like I think that there's like a lot of levels to it, and there's a lot of ways to interpret it. There's a lot of things that you can like think about. Like for instance, like my mom has got mental illness. You know what I mean? The doctors have said for years that like she's, whatever she's been diagnosed with, that's her thing. She needs to be medicated for it. There's a chemical imbalance. Yada 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 yada. I don't know if that's always necessarily the case. Like she's seen some shit. Like she says she can see it and it's happening in front of her. It's there. And it always gets me thinking, like, is she seeing something that's just fully made up in her mind, or is she opening up a world that we can't see that's here around us, like another dimension or some shit? And it always makes me think that we're just labeling one thing as one thing, and it's actually this person is tapped in to a whole other world, and we're just ignoring it as like a mental illness, and we're not using that person for what their skill is or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just a fucking stoner, but
no, I completely would lean towards that idea in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned before,
like my mom's seen demons and shit. She'll tell me some shit that she sees, and I'm like, that shit's got to be something. Like, and it's consistent. There's a character. There's people around. Like, there's like stuff in rooms, and I'm like,
intense.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
You use what? 10% of your brain is what they say.
That's what they say.
Okay, so like you're not perceptive to many things that are around you. Whatever, and the idea that some people have that to be able to. That's a little in my mind too. Like sure. I love being open to that. When it comes to anything that's a little bit too crazy for some people, I'm absolutely open to give an open ear to that stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because it feels like, how can you be so certain about anything in this life? Yeah. Especially when it comes to the wild stuff. Now, when it comes to certainty on things, we have officially reached a time in our lives where CIA released the whole, yes, aliens? We do have UFOs. They didn't say anything about aliens, but they said that they got UFOs. That's what it is. As a kid growing up, did you have any straight up sightings in the sky, or were you big on aliens growing up?
Other than the shit that I saw you guys film on your phone, I've seen minor stuff. But I remember there was that one time that you and Chris saw some shit in the backyard. Remember that?
Okay, what? Oh, really shit, man.
There was a video that you guys had.
You saying it right now, all of a sudden made me go, why did I remember this last time I brought this up? But I vaguely remember something like that.
Yeah, you guys had a weird video that was filmed over the garage or something zipping around in the sky. And you guys were like, what the fuck is that?
Because if it's with Chris didn't smoke the douche or anything like that, so it must have been a time. Yeah. With Nigel one time after mushrooms, we saw the fucking Northern Lights in downtown Toronto. That's cool. And I thought that was impossible. So we thought we were seeing fucking the beams of people being abducted or something. It was this little shimmer or whatever. And apparently, it's an anomaly, but sometimes you can see it. Cool. Okay, but going back to, let's say, the dark arts. The dark arts and the idea of, the occult and contacting these spirits. Yeah. Has that ever interested you? Have you ever been one to want to go down that road, a Ouija board or something like that? There we go.
I've never really had any experiences. Okay. I've had people try to fuck with each other. Okay, but I've had friends say they've had really, really touch and go experiences with Ouija boards and spirits in their houses and shit. But again, these are people who I feel have an open mind towards this stuff, right? So I've had friends tell me stories about things moving in their houses. I had friends tell me about a man that they see all the time in their houses. I have a buddy of mine the same people who moved into a relationship, met someone, ended up moving in with them, having a kid with them, a year kind of later in the relationship, her mentioning that she's oh yeah, by the way, I have this weird thing. I see this man that follows me around. He's a man. He's what are you talking about? He's I saw this thing too. Not long ago, this guy was in the backyard, and when I looked back, he was gone, and it tripped me the fuck out. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to alarm you. And she was did he dress like this? And he was yeah. And she, and so there's some weird shit. So I feel some people are really susceptible to it, and the people that are that guy Mark that I'm talking about. He's already had experiences before that where things in his house moved around and things would trip him out. We were one night we were having a party at his place and we were funny enough playing Guitar Hero. Awesome. And so we had the Guitar Hero set up in his bedroom because the girls were watching something in the living room and we were all smoking weed and drinking and then going from room to room, hanging out, whatever. And then we ended up back in the bedroom at one point and he had pointed out that the vent had been pulled up and twisted. Yeah. And, so the vent's, a rectangle and then someone had twisted the vent so that it was, not in the vent and kind of on top of the rectangle. Yeah. He was did you do that? And I was no. He's that's weird. It's that's happened a few times. And I was what? And I saw it. Yeah. I never I was you're fucking with me. You know what I mean? But he kept saying it. And then there's a coincidence with his wife, Linda, that I'm talking about this character that they both saw separate occasions. And he was I know what you're talking. Anyway, I feel there's some people that see it. And I do feel there's certain things that the lights flickering and shit like that might be someone trying to tell you something. One of my lights flickering in my house just tripped me a little bit. I don't know what the fuck to think about. But it's again, is that TV shows giving you thoughts that we watched the fucking 3 seasons of a show that lights flicker and they make you think of ghosts in another realm. Yeah. Is that what's doing it or not? I don't know. It's weird. I believe in all that other shit. I believe that there's a whole spirit world. I believe that there's, do I think that you get stuck in purgatory after you die? Do I think, where do you think you go? I don't know. Where are these spirits coming from?
Well, here, how about the idea of contacting them and conjuring up spells and the idea of possibly people in the
voodoo
world
and all
using,
that shit.
Well, not just voodoo, but maybe on a grander scale. When people get into the whole conspiracy idea of mass corporations and such having used, dark arts in a way of symbolism or whatnot. Do you ever entertain those ideas or
the conspiracy?
I saw the whole idea that Starbucks logo is really her, holding 2 serpents, which has been used for this and this and this.
I believe in some, but I think that might just have been a coincidence. Okay, yeah. Some of it might be a little bit, hearsay, and that's why they've changed because they're oh shit, we fucked up, we picked the wrong image. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I do believe in some of it, like the pedophile ring with like the connections to like people eating the fucking gland of a kid, like a baby for like all that shit, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years, and all that shit. I believe in that shit. Like, you know, rabbis and other like spiritual leaders have said that this is a true thing, that like, you know, the priests of other different cultures have all done it in a way. It's like an occult thing where that's why they live longer, and they have, you know, more, you know, they might age slower or whatever.
Going on for
so I believe
years.
I believe that shit's true in a lot of ways. You know, do I believe that the kids these days that they're doing it are being ground up into McDonald's burgers? I don't know.
Maybe not that far, but
I believe that we are sheep. I believe that we are just following the masses, and that they have everybody by the balls with all this corporate buying and you spending your money on this dream or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
I do believe in all that shit in a sense. Like, I don't necessarily want to have the white picket fence and fucking 2.5 kids and all that shit. I'd rather have a weird, obscure version of it. That's my own.
Gotcha.
Because I don't believe in that idea. I don't mind getting married or whatever, like that idea, but I don't like the idea of having to conform to like a society kind of based buyer or consumer. I like to buy shit. I like clothes. I like nice things and all that stuff.
I enjoy some.
I don't necessarily want the idea of that to be like the way I live. You know what I mean? Like, if that's fair. If that makes any sense.
No, it does.
But there's a lot of like shit that is out there that I'd rather, you know.
Well, here let's bring it to the big question. You know, why do you live? Why are you here? What you doing? What the hell's going on? What's
I don't know. That's
an easy question, right? Just to end this off with, right? Something simple.
That's the answer for you right there. I feel like, you know, there's a couple movies and books and things that we've read that have, like, you know, given you weird answers or given you those funny answers or whatever. And I think the question is more so, the answer to the question is more so another question. It's you know, how many roads must a man walk down? If you're going to quote a book, it's fucking... You know, I don't know what the answer was in the book, but I think it's 11 or some shit, or 51 or some
17.
Shit. But it's what it is. Like, you don't need an answer to the question. You need to figure out your own question. You know, it's not about what it is, like what life is or what's the meaning of life. It's like, what is your own personal meaning of life is rather, you know. And I think for me, it's to pass on like the knowledge of life or living or, you know, giving or, you know, whatever it is, like whatever your personal life is, if you can pass on that knowledge to a friend or to a family or to like that love, that whatever it is, then that's it. All you gotta do is just be here and as long as you're kind of happy with yourself, no one's gonna be happy forever and always, but as long as you're happy and living a life that you're content with and you want to continue to, you know, build on, then that I think is the dream. I don't think you need to be a millionaire or anything like that. I don't think that's the goal for everybody. I think as long as you're doing something that makes your heart feel good, whether it's your job or something that's in your life that's doing that, I think that's what you ultimately should be doing. Because if everyone's walking around feeling good about stuff that they're doing, the chances are they're going to have a lot less shit going on that's not good. You know what I mean? Because you put what you get. You know, if you're going to put out a bunch of negative shit in your life, the chances are you're going to get a bunch of negative shit back. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that negative. I used to be a negative kid, like, you know, and that's just life. You get the cards that are dealt with you, fuck it. And it's like, no, you put what you get. And if you don't, you know, give it, then you're not going to get it, you know? It's like, I saw this stupid quote the other day, like, you know, a crackhead wakes up every day and says, you know, I want to smoke rock. I don't got any money, but I'm still going to figure it out. Yeah. I'm going to hustle my ass off to get some fucking rock right now. Yeah. It's like, are you going to let a crackhead like out hustle you today? And it's like, that's the kind of idea. Like, I'm not going to ever, not that, you know, there's nothing wrong with crackheads. Be a crackhead if that's what you want to do. If you want to hustle to get rock, hustle to get rock. But whatever you're hustling towards, like, hustle for it. Like, it's rather than just like waiting for it to come to you, like, you should hustle harder for that, like, end result. Because if you push for it, that's the only way it's ever going to happen for you, right? Like, you can't just wait around for shit. You got to, as I said, make the fucking poster. Yeah, there we go. You know I love it. Like, I love whatever it is.
I love it.
Put it out there already for people to see, and then you get fucked.
I love it. What I mean? There we go. You know, but
you got to figure it out. You got a deadline now.
I love that. I love you.
Love you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. I never casted a pod.
Thank you.